सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Does having a cat or a dog or a fish or any other animal as a pet in the house affect our sadhana? It is likely, apart from the kind of vibrations that the pet carries. But you have a pet for a certain purpose, to give you company. And so the pet will certainly occupy a part of your mind, a part of your time. And as long as you have done it willingly to fulfill a need on your part, an emotional need. Apparently, pets satisfy our emotional needs. Because the pets love us unconditionally. The love that you get from human beings is conditional love. But animals, anything other than human being, loves unconditionally. Conditions are few. A dog may require a few, little food here, and that's about all they need. They don't need anything else. A human being require, apart from the physical needs, a lot of emotional things are required. A pet, you provide the physical necessities, loves you unconditionally. And that's the reason why people wish to have pets in their home, to receive unconditional love. So, whether it affects your sadhana, because you have a pet by your own choice, so it will occupy part of your time and part of your mind. If that is what you call also hindrance to your sadhana, then it will. But without the pet, if you feel lonely, then at least pet provides you a sense of being with something, somebody. Makes you feel comfortable. So that is a contribution that pet has in life. And to that extent your sadhana will also be better. You feel good. So, if pet is a result of your necessity, it's fine. Does that answer the question?
Can you become too attached to the pet, just like you get attached to our relatives?
You become more attached to pets than even to relatives. Because I say relative is always, or any human being always has some expectations from you, some demands from you. Whereas pets have very few expectations. So that way you receive essential and unconditional love from pet. You can get attached to it, that's the whole idea. You want to be attached to something, that's why you have pet. You need attachment in your life to be able to love something, to be able to feel loved by something. Attachment is required. If you are by yourself, you are devoid of attachment. So attachment is required to live life. Even the Vedanta says give up all attachment. But generally speaking, you need attachment in your life. Without attachment, you can't relate to anybody. I'm unattached to my children, then you can't care for your children. You can't care for someone unless you are attached. So you can care for your family when you are attached to them.
Swami, they say that do your duty as a mother or a father, but don't stay detached. Do your duty as a parents, but don't get attached to or expectation or attachment, stay detached. That's what they say that.
Who says that?
So many times in Vedanta only.
Vedantins says that.
Vedantins. Yes.
Vedantins don't know.
Vedantins are missing.
Vedantins say from a distance,
So,
But as I said, there can be no life without attachment. And therefore it is quite all right to have a healthy attachment.
healthy.
By that I would mean as few expectations as you have. Attachment enables you to care for somebody. And in caring for somebody there is satisfaction. To the extent that that caring is without expectation, to that extent it is healthy.
Yes.
To the extent that there are expectations of return favor, to that extent the relationship is not that healthy. But human beings always have expectations. It's easy to say I have no expectations. We do have.
Thank you.
No teacher will tell you to have expectation, by the way. This is the first one who will say that you need attachment to live life.
But besides this attachment factor with the pets, is there anything as per our shastras, like something like the vibration of an animal affecting the sadhana that way?
I guess so.
So that is what I want to ask.
Right. But then the advantage that you feel of having a pet, if you do feel, then perhaps that will compensate for the disadvantage that the presence of the pet may have in the home. And vibrations that a pet brings, usually these entities are animals are innocent, usually.
That's what.
So they may not bring too much negative vibrations. I'm just imagining. I'm not recommending that you should have pets, but then
No, once we already have.
we are not
That's-
condemning also, yeah.
Cat can be a carrier of toxoplasmosis, which is a disease, which is not a disease in cats, but it's a disease in human beings.
Yeah, it's a carrier.
Carrier, yes.
No, that is of course in a lot of diseases, including even COVID, I think has come from animals, they say. So all that risk is involved, and doctors are better equipped to say what that is. We are only talking about an emotional standpoint. That pet gives you an emotional satisfaction with minimum demands a human being gives emotional satisfaction with demands, because that also needs satisfaction in return.
Psychologically, it gives that takes away the loneliness of certain people.
Yes?
Psychologically, it helps to take away the loneliness because many people staying single and all that pets become very comforting to them.
Very much. Give them company.
But Swamiji Vedantins still quote example of Jad Bharata, where he had accomplished so much, but because being over attached to the deer, he had to come back as a deer. So is there any relevance to that kind of thinking?
But most people are not Vedantins. They are not seekers of moksha. We are talking about, ordinary people. So one prescription doesn't fit everybody. How can one create and maintain distance with oneself in day-to-day life? What is that? Talking with the self, can it help? What is meant by creating and maintaining distance with oneself? With one's body, you mean? In day-to-day life, the best thing is to follow the values. And that way we will be required to create distance with a lot of things, not with body as such. But yes, following simple value as honesty will require me to create distance with dishonesty. And also whatever is associated with dishonesty, I have to create a distance. So, following value does require me to create distance from self-centeredness, from my raga-dveshas. So, it's a step towards ultimately creating distance from anatma. But these values become a stepping stone. Because values require me to progressively create detachment. With detachment from things that I am presently attached to. Attachments that are harmful to me. Values require me to slowly become free from those attachments. Because to speak truth, I have to give up untruth. Untruth is the result of something I am attached to. Why do I tell a lie? Because I want to protect something? Maybe my wealth, my name, my honor, something I want to protect. That's the reason why I may tell a lie. Means I have attachment for something which is more than attachment for truth. That is why I can compromise truth for the sake of some worldly thing. Thus we have so much attachment. So following values such as truthfulness, not an ordinary thing, but whatever way extent you can follow, it will require us to progressively give attachment to what I consider valuable today. As truth becomes more and more valuable to me, what I consider valuable today, the worldly things, will have to lose their value. Otherwise, truth is on one side and money is on the other side. That's where the conflict is created in. So values and conflicts. We have two sets of values. One is values with which we are born. So each one of us loves to be non-violent, truthful, honest. That's a natural love that we have. And in the course of growing up in this society, we also create love for wealth and fame and power, the worldly things. So we have two sets of values. One is a value which we call natural value, with which each one of us is born. Others are acquired values for worldly things, which we pick up in course of our growth and upbringing in the society. So whatever the society values, we also start valuing. So we have two sets of values. One are the values, the natural values with which we are born. Second are the acquired values. Now, value, acquired value for money is very clear to me. What money can do to me, what power can do to me, what fame can do to me, that's very clear to me. What honesty can do to me is not clear to me. In the words of Puja Swami, the value for money, power is assimilated value. The value of truth is not assimilated value. Therefore, in a choice, I have to choose between honesty and my job, honesty and my honor, honesty and something worldly. The value for the worldly thing is assimilated. I know how valuable it is. I don't know how valuable honesty is. Therefore, this value which is not assimilated loses the battle. Because value for money is assimilated. I know what it does to me. Honesty, I don't know what it does to me. Therefore, it's not just the value, but the value for the value is important. Now, Swami was the first one to say this, the value of values. A value is valuable if its value is valuable to me. So, not only should we know what values are, which we know anyway, what is important is to know the value of value, meaning that how valuable that value is to me. What do I stand to lose by compromising a value? That by compromising value, I may gain something worldly. I may save some worldly thing, maybe my money, my name. But the loss is internal loss, subtle loss, spiritual loss. And that value of that loss is not recognized. And that is why, in course of time, the mind is inflicted with all kinds of conflicts. Because when we deliberately compromise the value, it's going to create a conflict. So thus what I am saying is that the values become valuable when we know the values to our own personal self. So this is what we can do in our life. You create distance with body, mind, etc. is, you need not worry about it. That will happen. Because following value requires to give attachment. First to the worldly things. And a time will come, if I want to follow value to the greater the extent we have to follow value, I will give attachment even to the body. Because the honesty will require you to stand against dishonesty. And so, a value is quite capable. If I practice it to its full extent, or to the extent to which I practice it, it will require me to become free from attachment. So we need not worry about creating distant body. Follow this. detachment will automatically happen. It's not possible to be, akarta, artha, this all, you cannot perform action as akarta. Difficult to keep distance with body, etc., but do this. This is possible. And that will create distance. With everything that I am attached to in course of time. If you're like a Mahatma Gandhi, become detached to everything. He could not justify wearing one full set of clothes. His non-violence required him to consume no more than what the poorest person consumes in India. The poorest person wears a loincloth, that's all he has. So it depends on our understanding, commitment. Meaning that we need not separately make an effort to create distance with the body and stuff like that. Do this and we will be required to create distance with one thing after the other. We learned in Dakshinamurti Stotra that the absolute reality, consciousness of Brahman, falls as a reflection on the subtle body and creates the aham vritti. Hence, are we a reflection of the Brahman or Brahman itself? It is not that the reflection creates aham vritti. Aham vritti is part of subtle body. All vrittis are a part of mind, isn't it? They are a part of subtle body. It is the nature of mind to reflect consciousness. Just as it is the nature of mirror to reflect my face, or nature of any reflecting surface to reflect any lighted object. Therefore, any vritti, including aham vritti, will reflect consciousness. That's how it becomes enlivened. So it is not that reflection of Brahman creates aham vritti. Aham vritti is part of mind. And wherever the vritti is, it always carries the reflection of consciousness. So it is not that you are a reflection of consciousness, you are consciousness. But consciousness can function only if it gets reflected in the aham vritti. Without Chidabhasa, consciousness is absolute reality. It cannot function. It cannot interact with anything. So consciousness also should attain the vyavaharik satta, worldly reality, by being reflected in the mind, which is called Chidabhasa. So Chidabhasa carries on all the vyavahara. But what is the nature of Chidabhasa? What is the nature of reflecting? Consciousness is the nature of, see, the image and reflection. Image is the essential nature of reflection. When I am looking at the mirror, my face is reflected in the mirror. So what is the nature of the reflection? My face. So what's the essential nature of reflected consciousness? So we are consciousness, not reflected consciousness. That's what you have to recognize. That while we are functioning we are reflected consciousness, but in reality, in its essence, we are consciousness. Before coming to the study of Vedanta, one might have done commissions and omissions, deliberately or inadvertently. But now, after the dawn of knowledge, what's the fate of this person? Will he have to pay for the past sins? How long has he to bear the cross? The past is gone. So I would not worry about the past. If past has to create, in fact, it will create. We are the product of the past. So do not worry about what the past was. Worry about the present and what you should be doing in the present. The commissions, omissions may have been carried out in the past. But now, with this understanding now, I will not commit the errors of, as best as I can, errors of commission and omission. Meaning that we can take responsibility for the present, not about past. If I have hurt somebody in the past, I should go and seek pardon. That is true. If somebody has hurt me in the past, I should forgive them. So settle that account. Other than that, don't worry about the past. Worry about the present. In case you need further clarification, you can ask. Is Atma absolutely not different from Brahman? If not, what's the difference? It is absolutely not different from Brahman. The cause or the self of the creation is called Brahman. The self of the individual is called Atma. The self of the universe is called Brahman. But they happen to be the same. The self of the individual is the same as the self of the universe. Therefore, there is no difference whatever between Atma and Brahman. Until that knowledge takes place, we feel there is difference. In reality, Atma also is consciousness, Brahman also is consciousness, and there is no division in consciousness. So Atma is totally equal to, identical to Brahman. Having an absolute conviction that my true nature is Atma, non-different from Brahman, combined with a simple dharmic life with tapas, vairagya and swadhyaya, is it not enough for videha mukti? Or should I strive for jivan mukti no matter what? You should strive for jivan mukti. Videha mukti cannot be unless you have jivan mukti. Although, again, here we differ. The text called Jivan Mukti Viveka by none other than Swami Vidyaranya. So Vidyaranya says that once you gain knowledge, Videha Mukti is certain for you. But Jivan Mukti requires you to work hard. No, that is not quite, what shall I say? Create agreement in me. You can be Videha Mukta only when you are Jivan Mukta. Vimuktascha vimuchyate, the one who is liberated becomes liberated. Both ways it can be said, that liberated being is your nature. But only when you are liberated in this life that you will remain liberated after death. That doesn't make any difference. Death does not bind you, death does not release you, death does not create any difference. So not that you are liberated and death will create a bound person, or you are bound now and death will create liberated now. Death is simply departure of the Jivatma from here. So death does not make any difference. Like sleep does not make any difference. If an idiot went to sleep, an idiot will wake up, as Swami would say. So whoever goes to death, the same fellow gets born again in different embodiments. Meaning that death does not create difference, does not add anything to you, subtract anything from you. So it is not that you are bound now and after death you become liberated. That's not what Vedanta says. Because what difference can death do? Nothing. So you must strive for liberation here and not worry about death and after death. That's all. Yes, sir.
Hari Om. If anyway we're going to forget all the things in the next Janma, why should I strive to go through all these things, do punya, learn moksha vidya, to attain moksha in this Janma itself? I'm going to forget everything in the next Janma anyway.
That's right. But what happens if you forget the details? The impressions of whatever you do are carried in your mind. So even when you are born in the next embodiment, you do not remember the details. You do not remember the past life. But the result of whatever you did in the past life are carried, because your mind or subtle body carries those things. Therefore we are born what we are born. The reason why each one of us is different from the other is that we have everybody has a different or unique history. And the present is the product of the past. It is true that we have no memory of the past, which is a blessing. It's a blessing that we do not remember the past birth. People are, I want to remember. Which past birth will you remember? How many births did you have? If you remember them all, you got crazy. Enough difficulty with remembrance in this birth itself. If you remember past and then past and whatever, so this is good that you forget everything. That's a great arrangement the Ishvara has done, that at the time of death, memory is gone. But the results of all the karma that you've done, all those are in the form of samskaras, and they go with you. So you can't escape the consequence of what we did. All the rewards.
Swamiji, you were telling us how Indra did seva for 101 years, living in very difficult conditions, but we all live in a lot of luxury. So how do we build that adhikaritvam?
Adhikaritvam is more a disposition of mind, not necessarily physical condition. Although it may be that a given physical environment may be more conducive to create adhikaritvam than some other one. So Lord Krishna says that when a person dies, he is born in a cultured, wealthy family, or he is born in a poor family of poor and yogi. Durlabham, Lord Krishna says second kind of birth is more rare. Because there you are likely not to be distracted at all. Born with all comforts, it's likely that you may be distracted. So, born in simplicity. Now, hardship can also create a sense of deprivation. Then that's no good, that's the result of papa. If hardship creates a new sense of vairagya, that's the result of punya. So poverty may be a result of papa and punya either. So you have no problem anyway. He is the daughter of one of our brahmacharis, my colleague in Sandipani Sadhanalaya. You know that? No, anyway, that's all. Which is that light we see in the dream? Now, I don't know that everybody sees a light in the dream. But under what circumstances you see a light, I do not know. But light can be a state of the mind. What you see in the dream is nothing but the modification of your own mind. So the mind may get transformed as light, if that is what you wanted. Likely in the dream also we may see what we wanted to see. So that light, I should say, is generally a state of the mind. And it's the reward that you were given because that's what you wanted or that's what your karma phala is. What makes one to awake from deep sleep, though it is full of happiness? Is it mere biological or anything significant? The doctors may give one explanation and Vedanta gives another explanation. But what wakes me up from sleep is my karma. It may sound like alarm clock. The alarm clock wakes me up from sleep. But who said the alarm clock? I did. Why did I do? My karma made me to set the alarm clock that way. So, the answer is the karma. When the karma responsible for the deep sleep state, they get exhausted, and karma responsible for waking, they become active, that's when you wake up. Karma for dream, they become active, you start dreaming. Every state is said to be the result of karma. Can prarabdha be exhausted from dream experience? Unfortunately, no. See, karma can be exhausted by karma. By performing deliberately good karma, I can exhaust the effect of some evil karma I may have done. But in dream state, we do not have kartrutva. In dream state, we have only bhoktrutva. We experience. We don't create new karma. So, what we did in dream will not affect the karma in the waking state. Is it possible to have repeated bouts of waking to dream to deep sleep to dream to deep sleep? I guess it's possible, isn't it?
REM sleep and non-REM sleep. Deep sleep and then there is dream sleep. It circulates. I think around 40-45 minutes cycle is. So one goes from dream state to deep sleep state, dream state to deep sleep state alternatively, and then ultimately wakes up. There are stages of sleep. REM sleep and non-REM sleep.
What is it?
REM is rapid eye movement.
Oh,
Rapid
REM. Okay, REM. Rapid eye movement.
So in one of them, the dream is that. I don't remember exactly which is that. But in one of them, the dream happens. Huh? NREM is deeper sleep. Okay, deep sleep.
All right. You have your explanation? Should a sadhaka prepare that when death comes, he remembers and dies in the Sharana of Ishvara? Sure. What we deliberately keep doing, that if that's what you want to happen at the time of death, do it deliberately while you are alive. So the way we live prepares for our death. So remember Ishvara all the time. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyaja. Tasmat, Lord Krishna says, since the thought that occurs to you at the last moment is what determines your destiny, therefore may you remember me all the time while doing your karma or not doing karma. Remember me. Is there something like preparation for death? Well, preparation for death can be a recognition that death is a certain thing, and therefore death should not cause fear in me. Not that I am preparing for death, at the same time the death comes, I am ready to accept it. Recognizing that death is only a station for further journey, or the end of the journey. So, preparation of death is living a good life. Okay. Any passage? Sure. What could be a good balanced scorecard to respond to various pairs of opposites to attain Ananda? What could be a good balanced scorecard to respond to various pairs of opposites? I do not know what is meant by a scorecard, but we will discuss tomorrow that the best way to respond to the pairs of opposites is to remain as detached as we can, to maintain a balance of mind. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatvam, sameness of the mind, that is the best approach to dealing with the pairs of opposite. We will have a chance to discuss that tomorrow. What is the right attitude to practice tapas? What should be the goal in the mind? Lord Krishna says, whatever you do, offer to me. Yat karosi, yat ashnasi, yat johosi, dadasi yat tapasyasi, kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. So whatever you eat, whatever you yajna, dana, tapaha, whatever karma you perform, Lord Krishna says, perform that in such a manner that it becomes an offering to me. So we have to remember as best as we can that may this become an offering to the Lord. May this become an offering to the Lord. But we cannot offer, anything inferior. Not only inferior, but we can offer the best things to the Lord. So when we have an attitude of offering to the Lord, we do the best that we can. So while performing tapas also, we do the best that we can with as much non-demanding as possible. Best way to perform karma is that I do not expect any personal reward from karma. So even while you are performing tapas, I do not expect any personal reward from this tapas. Let Ishvara be pleased with this. Let this be his offering. This is an ideal situation. Tat kurushva madarpanam. Lord Krishna says, may remember the spirit of offering to me. What's the goal in mind? Ishvara be pleased.
Swamiji, going back to the question of the death preparation, what happens to the people, like the person may be very spiritual, but then close to the death, there's some people Alzheimer's or some people with dementia or other problems. What happens is all the prarabdha, or they may be very spiritual, but if they go through that kind of thing, they don't know what they are doing at the end of their life. They don't even relate to the relatives or their own spouses or whatever. How can one put that?
Right, but the karma is there. And whatever good karma they have performed, it will determine.
Even though they are not relating Vyavharik.
Oh yes, what a person is going through now is the result of some karma. So whatever karma has been performed in this life will definitely stand by. You will definitely benefit. So, base thing is not to worry about death or what happens at the time of death. This is important because Lord Krishna says, whatever be your last thought at the time of death, that will determine the destiny. So one of the commentators has said that don't worry about death. Worry about now. And death will take care of itself. Meaning that even though it is said that the death determines the next destiny, not really. It is what you do during this life that determines the next destiny, not how you die. A person can die with dementia, a person can die in any way because death may not be in your control. So even though Lord Krishna says what happens to you at the time of death determines your destiny, since we do not know what it is, we can say that what we do during this life is what determines our destiny. वीरमारुति गंभीरमारुति वीर वीरमारुति गंभीरमारुति धीरमारुते अति धीरमारुते धीरमारुते अति धीरमारुते गीतमारुते संगीतमारुते गीतमारुते संगीतमारुते दूतमारुते रामदूतमारुते दूतमारुते रामदूतमारुते मारुति भक्तमारुति परमभक्तमारुति भक्तमारुति परमभक्तमारुति वीरमारुति गंभीरमारुति धीरमारुते अति धीरमारुते गीतमारुते संगीतमारुते दूतमारुते रामदूतमारुते दूतमारुते रामदूतमारुते मारुते भक्तमारुति परमभक्तमारुति वीरमारुति गंभीरमारुति गंभीरमारुति मारुति यत्र यत्र रघुनाथ कीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिम् बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगम् जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि मनसा स्मरामि मंगलं कोसलेन्द्राय महनीय गुणाब्धये चक्रवर्तितनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मंगलम् मंगलं भगवान् विष्णुः मंगलं गरुडध्वजः मंगलं पुण्डरीकाक्षः मंगलाय तनो हरिः सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणि नमोस्तुते नारायणि नमोस्तुते। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ